We are going to take a look this time at a place called Pleasant Unity, which is in Westmoreland County. And as we begin, I want to put this thing on autopilot and say a few things. I was down there this week, and there's a place down there called the Country Cafe, run by Susie Saxton, and she was good enough to help us with some information and pictures to help us get this project started. The early history of Pleasant Unity goes back quite a ways, actually. But at the very early times, back in the 1700s, it was called something else. It was called Buzzard Town, or Buzzard's Roost. That was in the 1700s. And at that time, it was in one of the early townships. One of the first townships in the county was Mount Pleasant Township. And it was in that township then. And as time went on, the people north of there were not happy that the township government was too far away from them and did not serve them very well. So they asked that a new township be formed. And in 1789, Unity Township was formed. And at that time, Pleasant Unity was no longer in Mount Pleasant Township. You notice it has a name with those two early townships, Pleasant and Unity. It was mostly an agricultural community, the center of a lot of farming went on around there. And in the 20th century, a big mine was opened up there. It wasn't actually until 1917 that the Jamison Coal Company opened their number 20 mine. And that was something that kept the thing going for quite a while, into the 1960s, as a matter of fact. And that was a really good producer. Over the years, almost every year, they would produce between 400,000 and 500,000 tons of coal, which is a good bit of black stuff. And hiring sometimes close to 300 people. Now, what I think I should do at this point is shift gears a bit and go to some of these pictures that I'd like to look at individually. This is just a context shot here, showing the context of Pleasant Unity, where it locates. Right here is Greensburg. Over here is Jeannette. This is Latrobe. And if you follow 981 south out of Latrobe, you're going to come to this place right down here. That's Pleasant Unity. This is Google Earth View, just to show it in context. You see, it's in the middle of a lot of farms, a lot of good farmland around there. There was also a lot of coal. There was a mine right up here, and a mine patch down here, and company store. This is the town itself. This was the heart of the old town that dates back to the 1700s. Another map. I like maps. I tend to be a visual learner. Visual things helps me understand things. And what you see right here, this is Pleasant Unity. Down the road, you see a place named Lysippus. Over this way is Humphreys. Here's Marguerite. Up here is St. Vincent. This is Route 30 coming through here. Another big factor in the earlier days were railroads. Railroads became important when the mines opened up. The mines really couldn't ship a whole lot of coal until they had a railroad built to them. So this red line, this is the Unity branch coming down right to north of Pleasant Unity. This is Pleasant Unity. And just north of that was the mine called Pleasant Unity Mine, or Jamison number 20. This down here is also rails, but that was for a trolley line. Over here you'll see other railroads that serviced the mine over at Humphreys, other places, Klondike. Some places you don't hear much about anymore, like United. This is old mapping coming from 1867. Pleasant Unity is right here. This shows you how close it is to the boundary of Mount Pleasant Township. This is down here is Mount Pleasant Township. This is Unity Township up here. Now something else I want to show you. I'm going to need a little magnification to point it out, because just about a mile west of Pleasant Unity, you see this symbol. See this symbol here? These symbols? These were the symbols that were used on the old maps to indicate a coal mine. There were a good many coal mines very early. As a matter of fact, George Dallas Albert, in his 1882 book, mentions that just about a mile west of Pleasant Unity, there were mining operations going on for coke. Apparently in the 1880s already they were making coke over here. This area here became known as Humphreys, the mine at Humphreys. And you'll probably be able to spot other things on that map that you might recognize, even some people you might be related to. This is an aerial view created in 1939. This is the center of the old town, and you see things developed out this way. This is 981 coming down from Latrobe. You see the development of a lot of housing over here had something to do with a mine. This is the big old mine that had been pumping out coal since 1917 rather. And by 1939 they had produced a good bit of waste material it was called a bony dump or a slag pile. This right here is where the head frame sat. The head frame is the thing that went down into the shaft. This is the head frame here. This sat over top of the mine shaft. It was an elevator that brought cages up and down, that brought men down in to dig and brought the men and the coal out. Also, they brought out the stuff that was not marketable, the slag, the stuff they had to take out to get the coal, and made a great big pile of it. And over here you see this is the railroad coming down, the Unity branch. Up here is what we were looking at. This is the center of Pleasant Unity over here. This is the mine up here. Now we're going to take a look at some of the things down here. This is the patch, the coal patch town that Jamison Coal Company built. And then right out here, coming out Phillips Road, right out on 981, was their company store. And if I do things right, we'll be able to look at some of this stuff. This was the one of the patch houses. Now the patch houses in this particular Jamison mine were a bit more modern looking, a bit more humane. They weren't these old tacky duplexes. These are for one family. They were built about 1917. This is an old photo showing the patch for Jamison number 20. the houses, one-story houses. This is a ball field. All work and no play and all that stuff. And the guys and the kids needed a place to recreate. This was the company store. And if you could read that, it once said Jamison Company number 20. And this fronted on 981. And believe it or not, it's still there. I'll show you a picture of it. And there's a sign here saying, pickup truck was included in sale of company store. See, when the mine went out of business in the 1960s, they sold the company store. And apparently this old Chevy pickup truck went with it. Somebody decided to put that note up there. Now what I'm going to show you is what this place looks like now, and it is really surprising. It is a really good example of adaptive reuse. The only ways you can tell is the angle of the roof, the fenestration on this side. The parapet roof out here has been taken off and replaced with some brick veneer. And it's a really nice looking place. You'd never guess that this was the old Jamison Company store. They are actually the same place, believe it or not. And I think we've gone far enough with this one, because I'm going to have another one, at least one more on Pleasant Unity. I don't know at this point just how many more I'm going to do. It'll be at least one more. So I'm going to very quickly just move on. And we have done one more somewhat less than slick and shiny production done by Slick and Shiny Productions as we stumble our way through a maze of digital nonsense. And believe me, it is that way sometimes. So I say so long until next time. Bye now.